Good evening. Welcome to Mindful Vespers. I'm Greg Woodsby. This is our open interspiritual midweek weekly practice where we play some music, we practice ourselves, and we open it up and invite you to join us in this. I am extremely excited for our practice tonight. I'm joined, Matthew's at home, he's kind of running the camera stuff, and I am joined from Boston by Kristina Berger, a fantastic dancer, incredible teacher. Hello, Kristina, and just you'll see all around fantastic person to be around. We met in, I think, 2015, and I was a ballet pianist at the time at a college in Massachusetts, and I had just started playing modern stuff, and this whole setup was kind of like not a thing in my wheelhouse yet, I started playing some modern classes for Kristina, and I was so instantly enamored and just so struck by the way she herself models, and then also very gently just demands that you just sort of pour your whole heart out on the floor every single moment, every time you're with her in class. And you might think, a lot of people think about mindfulness practices and they think about stillness and they think about being incredibly quiet, and people think that you have to stop thinking, which is not the case. You will never stop thinking. Your mind is a thinking machine. But there are a lot of different mindfulness practices. Actually, when we go into we'll have a little Zoom conversation after this, and I'll share a little image. It's this tree of mindful practices. And it has all these things from, of course, sitting meditations and walking meditations, a variety of movement practices. One of my favorites to watch, I've never done it, I would love to someday, is the whirling dervishes of the Sufi tradition, where they spin always to the left around the heart, and they spin and spin and spin. And it has often been the case that I've been attracted to more ecstatic forms of mindfulness. What they all share is this sense of immediacy and presence and attention and awareness. And so Kristina, as a teacher of the Horton technique, which is just one of the most beautiful and stunning modern dance techniques, she brings that kind of fierce immediacy and attention to it. But she's also an incredible teacher and dancer in the Erick Hawkins company, which has a much more of that soft inner movement, although it's incredibly strong in the core. So I think what you'll find tonight is that, of course, this is not some sort of traditional mindfulness practice. But we're also going to perform a piece at the very end, a duet that we've done for a long time that is a little bit more still, and that to me is one of the most mindful, meditative things that I have almost ever done in my life. This little duet, because the details and the subtlety of everything that Kristina brings to it, really, for me, thins the walls between our souls. So we're going to get going here. Kristina's going to read a little bit that she wrote about this piece, which is going to kind of set up the rest of our practice. So take it away, Kristina.
Yeah, I just gotta say, can I just have you introduce me wherever I go? Um, Thank you. Beyond grateful for your intuition, respect, and dedication to all things dance and beyond. Such a pleasure. And so excited to be working with you again. It's been way too long. So yes, welcome everyone via Facebook and Zoom. So this is a piece we created called Threshold. Threshold, I think, has many different meanings, but so here's what I wrote. Threshold is a space between destinations. I see this piece as a duet, both in creation and performance. Pianist, composer, friend, and overall extraordinary artiste, Greg Woodsby, proposed we explore this theme for a concert he was directing in Boston, actually, in December 2016, in which I would choreograph and perform a solo to his beautiful interpretation of Duke Ellington's Single Petal of a Rose. At that time, we were both dealing with this concept as a strange reality through loved ones and people who played major roles in our lives, and also in our own individual experiences as artists and parents. And I just have to have a little addenda here. Like, if we thought we were dealing with thresholds then, that was a mini prelude to the number of mountain-sized thresholds we've been clambering over this past year. And they'll keep coming, so we might as well get into it. But anyway, back to my writing. That was ad-lib. A threshold is often an uneasy and ambiguous place in which one naturally does not dive in, but ultimately must accept. If possible, to accept elegantly, one can move on to the next journey with a peaceful and still powerful energy.
So in a few minutes, Kristina's going to start leading us through some of the motions that we do in this piece. So if you look around you in your space, open yourself up to your space right now. It's always interesting to me to start a little bit of a meditation practice visually. You can feel that quality of your eyes reaching out for an object. Like, just take a second and look at one object in the room. And just feel how your attention seems to reach out towards it. And now move to another object. Feel that reaching. And go to a third one. And now, in sort of the same way that your ears might be simply receiving the sound of my music, what if your eyes can be more like the way light hits a mirror? Rather than reaching, take in the whole visual field. You're still looking at that same object, but you're not grasping towards it. You're just letting the experiences of your space come to you. And try and keep that same sense of detached equanimity. And just make sure that you do have a little bit of space around you to move. I think the only thing you'll quite do is shift your weight and stretch your leg out a little bit. But just that you won't kick anything. You know, we may have movers in here. We may have people who don't consider themselves professional movers or as part of their practice. But I really invite you to explore it in your own way tonight, in whatever small fashion you can. It'll be very gentle. So much of this you can even do with a sense of kinesthetic empathy. And that's really the thing that we're sort of trying to start to cultivate with our practice tonight, is this sense of real kinesthetic empathy. So at this point, I'm going to pass it back to Kristina, and she's going to lead us through this brief movement exercise.
Yeah, and as I said, as Greg said, we're so connected that I think I'm saying what you're saying. Feel free to stay seated and just, feel or, keep the weight shifts as small or big as you want. But so what I thought is that you'll create, with this piece is called threshold. So we're going to create our own threshold, and we're just going to shift our weight over that threshold. So we're trying not to keep the feet totally parallel. And for any of you dancers in there, we don't need to crank the turnout either. Not that mine is cranking to excess these days, or probably ever was. I have other skills, but we're going to keep it at a moderate turnout. And I just want you to see if you can really lead with your pelvis. So allow that pelvis to be the first thing that moves and the head to be the last. So we're going to go pelvis, ribcage, shoulders, head, and pelvis, ribcage, shoulders, head. And then each time you shift, see if you can get one part of the spine a little more involved. So maybe you soften your sternum a little bit more. Maybe you find a little bit of an apex at the top so that we find a little bit of a loop. So as the beautiful Erick Hawkins technique would say, this would be an overcurve, and then you would return with an undercurve. So again, it is that sequential movement through the spine, which feels really great. If you can pay extra attention to this shift of weight, we're constantly shifting our weight, but now we're just being specific in it and allowing yourself almost to feel like you're underwater. This is probably what your spine would do. Pelvis, ribcage, shoulders, head. And just a couple more of those, pelvis, ribcage, shoulders, head. And now, let's go ahead and add a little bit of opposition. So as we go forward, we want to send energy back. So I'll face side so you can see. By the way, you can also take this shift. You can turn in a circle. You can do whatever you want, obviously. Let's send a little energy through the fingers and then soften back. So we extend and soften back. Reach through those fingers, soften back. And now how about the toes? So it doesn't have to be a pointed foot. It can be, but send some little laser beams through your toenails so that we have that beautiful line reaching back. And now send a little bit of extra energy through the top of your head. So I wouldn't call it a balance, but there is a hover, a sense of suspension as you come to that final point. Suspend, reaching through those fingertips and those toes will help you to suspend, by the way. So the more energy you send in all directions, the better this is. And then find that place and reach behind you, reach in front of you. See if you can create a circle in your mind. You're still on that leg, maybe. And then let that go. And let's just take a little walk around in a circle. See if one leg feels different than the other. Just a casual walk. You're just walking heel and then ball, and then the toe. And then find your way back to whatever space you want to be in. Maybe you face a different direction, and just take the other leg in front. So we're going to do this again. So now, again, now that we understand this, hopefully it's as if someone was pushing you from behind. So it's that pelvis, that ribcage, shoulder, head. So again, it's a loop. You can even do this with your arms if you want. A loop over and then back and then over. It's the crest of a wave, really. It's everything in life. We're always over curving and under curving and over your own little threshold. So continue that movement. And don't forget to breathe. Pelvis, ribcage, shoulders, head. And it's harder than it looks, actually, to keep this shift of weight going. On this side, let's go ahead and take that in a circle. So shifting back to the front, face another part of your space, and another, and another. And maybe you can practice looking at those objects the way Greg was guiding us, so that our focus is also part of this. And then here we go again with that sense of opposition. So as we go forward, we're going to send energy back through the fingertips and through those toes right away this time. Fingertips and toes. And circle back. Circle front. Find a beautiful line and soften it. Find that beautiful linear shape and soften it. And find that shape and soften it. Let's do 2 more of those. And then we're going to find that shape and suspend. So it's not a balance. It is, but it's also a hover. It's also a suspension. And then soften. And there we go. Just shift your weight side to side. And let Greg's symbol ripple up through the spine. And then toss it away. Toss it away. Toss it away. And there's our little threshold study.
So as you come back to a comfortable position, you could remain standing, you can sit. In a moment, Kristina and I are gonna, quote unquote, perform this piece.
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote. And I want you to stay in the body that you just cultivated. I want you to see what you can do to remain fully present in your body, even as you're just watching. You know, all of our experiences happen in our bodies. Your attention is what is creating this experience. So obviously you could, use that attention and choose to look at something else, and you'd be having a different experience, not necessarily better or worse. You could also have your mind be wandering. And I would just invite you, if that happens, and it probably will happen, to just find some curiosity. What do you notice? What do you feel kinesthetically? What do you feel in your body as you watch Kristina? What are the sounds? What are the particulars of the note? The exact way that a note lines up with her movement. Which one goes first? Does she move first, or do I move first? Or do you move first? How are those 3 things interacting In a way, this is a duet between Kristina and I. But on another level, it's a trio between you and Kristina and I. And on another level, it's a whole symphony, right? Between everybody who's come before and everybody who will come after. And in that way, it's really no different than any other ordinary moment. Except that I think the art is a little bit of a tool. It's like a technology for us to be aware of that moment, for us to be aware of this connection. Just take a few seconds here and track something that is fairly still. Track something simple. Traditionally, we use the breath. You can use sounds. You can use some of those feelings in your body. And just give yourself, allow time to pass. Allow things to settle. As thoughts come, you can gently note that they're there and come back to your object. And here's Kristina, are you set? Are we good to go?
I will be going backstage and I'll return in 1 minute.
All right, beautiful.
Okay, here I go.
What is here right now? There's nothing you need to do. Find your comfort. And here's Threshold by Kristina Berger, music, Duke Ellington's Single Petal of a Rose from the Queen's Suite. Enjoy. Thank you for joining our practice tonight. Thank you so very much, whether you're here with us on Zoom or on Facebook Live. This is an event that happens every week on Wednesday. If you'd like to join us, we stick around for a little bit of conversation after this. So Matthew will drop the Zoom link into the Facebook Live chat, or if that doesn't happen, you can go to southwedgemission.com/mindfulvespers. And you can find the link and come chat with Kristina and I, share about your experience of your practice tonight. We can ask each other questions. We'll ask you some questions. You can chat with us. Next week, we have a fantastic Rochester musician, the beautiful percussionist Brandon Caraselli is going to be playing a beautiful tongue drum that he has. It's going to sound so nice in this space. I'm very excited for that. You can check out on that Southwedge Mission Mindful Vespers page some of our past practices as well. We're really just getting this started. We're excited for your ideas, for your participation, and just a chance to continue to deepen our spiritual practice in whatever form that takes for you, and to explore a variety of forms, and just be doing it in community is the biggest thing. So we're gonna jump off our Facebook Live now. Thank you very much, and we will transition over and do our little Zoom chat. So
Thank you.
good night. Yeah.
Good night.